Every winter, without fail, literally thousands of tourists fly all over Europe, and many of them come down here to the south coast to spend some time with us. Lots come down from the far north, places like Scandinavia and the Baltic countries, to escape the nasty weather, and they come here for all sorts of different reasons. Some, believe it or not, want to spend some time on the beach. Others try out the local cuisine. A few come down to just take in the view, and I'm afraid to say, we even get a few hooligan visitors. I'm going to try and track down 6 of the best winter tourists. Their resorts of choice are farmland, woods, heathland and our coastline. All along the south, the first of these visitors are coming in to land from Siberia. Brents are our smallest wild goose to overwinter here. They come to feed on the eelgrass growing in the shallow water, and their numbers have increased dramatically over recent years. As the tide moves out, our next visitor, the Dunlin, moves in to take advantage of our mudflats. Dunlin are our most abundant wader, feeding on the small invertebrates along the water's edge. We have to go inland for number 3, and these have also travelled down from the high Arctic to our river valleys. In this one particular spot, this group of Berwick swans visits every single winter. I can't remember a winter when they weren't here. Sometimes there were a lot, in excess of 100. This year, less than 20. Now when you look at them from this distance, they all look the same, as if they come out of the same mould. But if you look far more carefully, you'll see that each of those birds is uniquely patterned on its bill. The shape of the yellow on the black, just in front of its eye, is unique to each bird. So you can actually identify them from year to year. They're a smaller bird than the mutes, not as big as the hoopers. There are 10 Berwicks out there at the moment, but sadly, only 2 of them are youngsters, the greyer birds. That's a bad sign, because you can always monitor what sort of breeding season they've had by the number of young birds, which means basically what we've got 2 here, so that's only 1 family have produced young this year. Oh, it's absolutely bitterly cold. Those birds will be perfectly at home coming from the high Arctic, but I'm going to find some shelter. I'm going to dive into the woodlands and look for a few more visitors. In a good year, our woods play host to several million of these birds, so finding number 4 should be a doddle. Well, it's certainly a bit more sheltered in here, and the species I've come to look for comes all the way from Scandinavia to spend its winter with our chaffinches. Well, there's no accounting for taste, but it does mean that it's relatively easy to find, because at this time of year, chaffinches get together in large flocks, and of course you can hear them, and with their white wing bars they're quite easy to pick up, and they hang out in these beech groves here. Well, not right here, obviously. Must be somewhere else at the moment. I can hear chaffinches, and that, quite distant, but that's the call of the Brambling. It's another finch, and it's coming from that direction. There's a chaffinch. I can see a chaffinch. Oh no, there we are. And there's a Brambling in amongst it. Now you can see they're quite a messy looking bird. Black and orange flecks. They've got white in them as well. That's a male. Females are browner like the female chaffinches. And they love these beech woods because they feed on the beech masts. the seeds that have come down off the beech trees. And that's a bit of a treat, I have to say. Look at that, fantastic. Right, well, we've scored with the Brambling. It's always good to score with the Scandinavian. But now I'm going to go after a slightly more special bird, and sadly I'm going to have to leave the comfort of the woodland and get out on the heathland and also pick up my scope. So some of these species come down here in their thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, but there is one that comes down in a fairly solitary fashion. And I've come out here today to this heathland to look for just one bird, and that means that it could be a really hard, long slog. Number 5 is the elusive great grey shrike. It's just a question of walking a long way and then stopping and scanning around and looking at the top of every single bush. They do tend to have favourite bushes. Sometimes, once you've discovered the set of favourite bushes they like to use, then you can just go between them. But it's a bit of a cold search today. In fact, it's a freezing cold search. There's a tree over here. With a dead leaf on the top of it. At least I'm honest. Of course, if they're sat on top of things, you'd think it would mean they'd be easy to find. But unfortunately, they move about a lot. Now you're going to think that I put this here in a gruesome act, but I didn't. I spotted it through my scope when I was looking for the shrike. And this is the work of the shrike. This is a Dartford warbler that's been impaled here. It's what we call the shrike's larder, because another name for these birds is butcher bird. And what they do is they catch their prey, and if they've got enough, got surplus food, they'll hang it up here and come back to it when they're a bit hungrier. So, the shrike has definitely been here, but it's not here now. Nothing. Well, it was all going a bit too smoothly, wasn't it? I'll have to continue this shrike hunt tomorrow, because down there in our towns and cities is visitor number 6. A visitor that no living soul armed with binoculars should miss. I often say the best things in life are birds, and I also say that some birds are more equal than others. Well, I've got to say waxwings are more equal than most. They are absolutely top 10. Look at the crest, look at the little black chin, the eye stripe, and of course the waxy bit of the wing. The thing about waxwings is that they're real berry specialists. They feed on the Scandinavian berry crop, but if conditions there get hard and there aren't many berries, then they come over from continental Europe to the UK. Typically they turn up in East Anglia and in Scotland, not down here in the south, and that's why these are so special. Maybe 2 winters out of 10, 1 out of 5 they get down here, and normally in small numbers. To see 40 like this in Hedge End near Southampton, wow, it's a top treat, and as you can see, everyone is taking advantage of it. After that dazzling display, there's only the shrike to make it 6 out of 6. So, with renewed vigour and resolve, it's back out to the heath. It's not easy finding these things, they can cover such a vast area. Well, the weather's definitely better, a bit of sunshine. 4.5 hours, and I don't know how many miles later I'm about to give up when I literally stumble upon it. What a little beauty. Fantastic. Just a few steps more and I'm going to get a really cracking view. Oh, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And it looks like it's flying to Tasmania. Five and a half out of 6. Story of my life. I could cry. Birds, we need them. Anyone want to buy a telescope?